Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. My name is Ezra, and I'm joined by Caleb and Sawyer. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty
I'm doing
good.
pretty
Pretty
good.
good.
Yeah.
Good. So today we are recording our next gen special. It is PS5, Xbox Series X, new consoles, new generation. Although Xbox certainly doesn't seem to be attached to that idea.
Mm.
And yeah, so we're gonna go over the consoles. We're going to go over the specs, the games, everything there is to know. We're gonna try to talk about it. Backwards compatibility, just all sorts of things. It's a really exciting time if you're into video games. And yeah, so I was thinking the way that we're gonna go about this is we're going to start with Xbox because I think Xbox has a lot more to talk about in terms of sort of value to like the relationship between value and the specs themselves, and then we'll move into PlayStation because I think the that console has a lot more maybe to say up front, but maybe you'll find that over time things will kind of edge out between them to where there's no real difference anymore. Um, so with that, we'll get started with the Series X. Um, and we'll also be talking about the Series S sort of as a part of this. But yeah, so the Xbox Series X is going to have a CPU. The CPU is going to be an 8X Zen 2 cores at 3.8 gigahertz. And then the GPU is going to have 12 teraflops with 52 CUs at 1.825 gigahertz with a custom RDNA 2. The memory is going to be 16 gigabytes of RAM. And then the memory bandwidth is also going to be 16 megabytes of RAM, I believe. The optical drive is a 4K UHD Blu-ray drive that is the same across both consoles if what you have has a Blu-ray drive. And then the internal storage is a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD, and the expandable storage is a 1 terabyte expansion card that is also an SSD, but it is proprietary and costs something like $230, I think.
220, I believe.
220. Okay, yeah. So you're paying a pretty penny for the for storage this generation, at least on the Xbox side, because they made their own proprietary stuff, which I think we will end up seeing that that there's a trade-off there because the games that are on that expanded storage are probably going to run very similarly, if not exactly the same as the ones that are going to launch on the internal SSD. Whereas PlayStation 5, you're going to see some differences there uh, once we get to that. So those are the specs. The most powerful console launching uh, alongside, or just launching in general for this generation. Not, as we'll see later, maybe not uh, so much more powerful that it's going to make a difference up front, but
Mm-hmm.
but those extra 2 teraflops might matter at some point to some games. And it's really just a matter at that point of how first parties use it versus how third parties use it.
Mm-hmm.
Because third parties are going to be more liable to optimizing for the lowest common denominator. So
Unless you're Call
you'll
of Duty.
see, unless you're Call of Duty, in which case you can just have you can just have a whole terabyte to yourself. It's fine. And then so let's talk about the Series S here. So the CPU is basically the same, but it goes down to 3.6 gigahertz from 3.8 gigahertz. And then the GPU is the same custom RDNA 2 with now 20 CUs as opposed to 52 CUs at and on the Series S at 1.565 gigahertz. And then the GPU actually takes a serious hit in teraflops with only 4 teraflops as compared to the Series S's 12.15. Now, I will say, based on what I know, the PS4 Pro only has like 1.5 teraflops or something like that. So this is the Series S is still like a significant jump from something like a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X.
Right.
But it's not maybe as much of a beast as the Series X is. The memory is going to come, I believe, with the same memory. None of this makes sense to me. I wish it was more less technical here. But the 10 gig, I believe it's about it's about the same memory. Maybe let's find out actually. How much RAM does the Series S have? Nothing wants to tell me. But I'll just read this off, and you can make sense of it. 10 gigabytes of RAM, GDDR6 with 128-bit bus, 8 gigabytes at 224 gigabytes per second, 2 gigabytes at 56 gigabytes per second. So yeah, I think that indicates that that's totaling 10 gigabytes of RAM, which I think I misspoke actually. No, I was right. The Series S memory, or the Series X's memory, is going to be 16. So down 6 gigabytes of RAM from there. Again, probably not going to matter too much from game to game, but it's definitely going to it's probably going to affect exclusives far more, actually. I think this is the case where you're going to see a lot of devs want to really push the Series X and then make less optimized versions for Series S. And then this is probably the biggest hit that the Series S takes is in storage. You get 512 gigabytes custom NVMe SSD. So again, that's about half. And you can get the expansion card, so that's fine. Apparently, they are also going to be selling 2 terabyte expansion cards. So if you're really like, I want to keep every game I download on my Series X, that's a route you can go down.
But
those are not yet on the market, though.
They are not.
That.
The 2 terabyte, yeah, you're right. The 2 terabyte ones are not on the market. Eventually, they will be, though, and they'll probably be very expensive.
Here's my thing on that. I'm like, if you're looking to get even a 1 terabyte expansion card for the Series S, just get the Series X.
Like, you're going to more expensive than the Series X even is.
Right. Yeah. And the whole system performs way better than the Series S. Here's what I will here's what I will say is, like, if you're getting, I'm more likely to get the Series S in a sense that the PlayStation 5 is going to be my console, like, that I will be playing most of my games on. But if I were to get a Series, like any of the Xbox, it would be a Series S for me, because I know I won't be playing that many games on it. I think the smartest move is, if you're looking, and very much Series X is definitely one that is a long-term investment.
Yes, definitely.
Go for the long-term investment if that's going to be your primary console. That's my personal opinion.
The Series S to me seems to be it's for, I guess the two that really stand out to me is it's one for parents who, if they have a kid who really just wants to play Fortnite and Call of Duty with their friends, and they just like, well, this is $300. It's the newest, it's the cheapest one currently in the market. It's not a Nintendo Switch, so just go ahead and drop on the S. Or it's for those people who, like you said, like yourself, who are primarily PlayStation and Nintendo gamers, but say they want to play Halo Infinite, and they don't have a PC that's capable of running it, they can just drop 300 on a Series S, get Game Pass, and then just play Halo.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those really seem to be the two types of people who the S is made for.
Yeah, and that does bring us to the price of both of these consoles. So the Series X is going to come to $400.99 or no, $499 US dollars, and then the Series S.
I thought you said $4, and I was like, "Sign me up."
Seriously. And then the Series S is going to come to $299. So yeah, $200 apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that assessment. If you are on the fence about which one to buy, and you don't know sort of what your storage situation is going to look like, just get the Series X. It has a disk drive. It'll run or it'll have literally 2 times the storage, and it'll and it's just a better console at that point, because like you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you buy the Series S and then like you have to, in order to run your games, in order to have like the maximum convenience, you have to pony up $220. Like that's not a good feeling. So I would definitely agree with that. Just for comparison's sake, the Series X is targeting 4K at 60 FPS up to 120 FPS. Whereas the Series S, is targeting 1440p at 60 FPS up to 120 FPS. So frames per second is not taking a hit, but resolution is absolutely taking a hit. And maybe that doesn't matter to you, because I know a lot of people are still in 1080p. I thought I was still in 1080p, but then I checked my TV and it's actually 4K, so that's cool. But yeah, I think those are the things to look out for with the Series X and the Series S. It is worth mentioning the Series S is also digital only, like I said. So if you're like Sawyer and you really want those physical copies, which I know is the case for a lot of people, even though we seem to be moving more and more into a digital future, that is definitely a consideration you're going to have to make. So keep that in mind when you're taking a look at a console. Also keep these in mind. So we're going to take a look at the launch games so this is the Xbox launch list. This is for the Xbox Series in general. Everything will be coming out on these consoles.
Before we get into that, I would like to clarify something for audience real quick here. So the interesting thing with this new generation of Xbox, unlike previous generations and even the PS5, is it's more of they're operating more of like a PC style architecture, or I guess system, whereas rather than it being, oh, we're going PS4 to PS5, the way Xbox games are being marketed is if it says optimized for Series X on it, that means it is a Series X game. But for
Yeah.
example, if you were to buy the disc in stores for something like Halo Infinite, it'll say Xbox One and Xbox Series X both in the top left. So it's kind of like buying a PC game in the days of old, where you would buy that DVD to put into your computer to upgrade, or to play the game, but it would tell you must have a minimum of, this graphics card, this whatever, but it's optimized for the best of the best cards. That's kind of how this is. So when we say optimized for Series X, that really means that all of these games are also available on current Xbox One. But if they're optimized for Series X, that just basically means that they're higher quality or the next gen version of the game.
I honestly cannot think of any game that is launching on the Series X that is also not going to be on the One.
Microsoft has said that is going to be the case. Probably, I would bet until at least 2022.
Yeah.
That for the foreseeable future, until we start to get to games like the new Fable or the new, I would assume probably the next Gears. That's going to be when we start to get the Series X only games.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into this list here. Thankfully, Gematsu also has notes on whether or not it will support or it will be launching with Smart Delivery or Xbox Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass, we've been talking about it a lot. It's a great service. Tons of games for a Netflix-like subscription. And so every first-party Microsoft title is launching on Game Pass, whereas and then some third-party titles may or may not, and that's kind of still up in the air. And then Smart Delivery is basically just like if you have the Xbox One version of a game, you will get the optimized for Series X version of that game for no extra charge.
Ezra, if you're wanting the list, I put the list from Microsoft's website in the chat as well, in case you wanted to.
The optimized list. Okay,
yeah. The optimized for Series X and then the Xbox One enhanced games.
Okay,
X enhanced games.
Yeah, I think we'll take a look at the Series X optimized list. And then if we have enough time, we'll definitely try to get to the 1X enhanced list, because every 1X enhanced game is probably going to see even more improvements on the Series X.
That's actually kind of got me hyped a little bit too, is even if these games are not going to get full Series X/S enhancements, that even the games that got 1X enhancements, like Battlefield 1, for example, will still have 4K HDR on the Series X and probably even a more stable frame rate because of the new hardware.
Definitely. All right, let's get through this list. So first up, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, out November 13th, so it's not quite launch. Still, it launches this coming Friday of our recording. Dirt 5, The Falconeer, Fortnite Last Laugh bundle, out November 17th.
That is the Joker bundle, to give context.
I see. I didn't mention Assassin's Creed going to have Smart Delivery. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War not going to support Smart Delivery. Dirt
$10 upgrade. Yeah,
$10 upgrade, which is stupid. Dirt 5 will, the Falconeer will, as will the Fortnite Last Laugh bundle. Gears Tactics going to have both Smart Delivery and Xbox Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you have Gears Tactics. Just Dance 2021 will support Smart Delivery. Maneater will support Smart Delivery. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, out November 17th, will support Smart Delivery. NBA 2K21 will not support Smart Delivery and also will not be on Game Pass. So Again, very stupid, but 2K gonna do what 2K gonna do. Planet Coaster Console Edition, going to support smart delivery. Watch Dogs Legion, going to support smart delivery. Let's go Ubisoft. The WRC9 FIA World Rally Championship, that is a title and a half, is also going to support smart delivery, and then Yakuza Like a Dragon will as well. So
a couple of also as well that were not mentioned on that list. There are some.
I have a digital only list.
Oh, okay, and go ahead then. Yeah.
So this is all of the digital only games that are launching on the Series S and Series X, as well as upgrade patches that are coming out for those consoles as well. So Borderlands 3 will support smart delivery. Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead, out November 19th, will support smart delivery. Bright Memory, I believe, is a PS and like a next gen only game, and it's not going to be on Game Pass. Concept Destruction has smart delivery. Cuisine Royale will. Dead by Daylight will. DMC5 Special Edition, which will which launches with the consoles, but the retail version of the special edition won't be out until December 1st. Will not support smart delivery and is not going to be on Xbox Game Pass, which is a pretty standard, like, I'm not thrilled about it, but that's kind of just how it has to be because of the way that Capcom handles Devil May Cry special editions. Enlisted is a game preview, so I don't know what that. I don't even know what that game is. I honestly have I've never heard of Enlisted.
Does that mean it's a demo?
It's like early access.
I think that's also what Bright Memory is currently in as well.
Is it?
Because there's technically two. Because Bright Memory was already in beta on PC or early access on PC, but then Microsoft is helping the full version come to fruition, which is going to be called Bright Memory Infinite. So Infinite, like the final version, is still in development, but I believe the early access version is a day one game.
Yeah, the version that we're getting on launch is just like a $7.99 version of the game, and then the final version will be later on. So Evergate will support smart delivery. Fortnite is free to play; doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Forza Horizon 4 will support smart delivery and will be on Game Pass, as will Gears 5 and Grounded. And Halo: The Master Chief Collection which will be launching on Series S and X on the 17th. King Oddball will support smart delivery. Manifold Garden will. No Man's Sky will. Observer System Redux won't be supporting smart delivery, and it won't be on Game Pass. Ori and the Will of the Wisp will be smart delivery supported and on Game Pass. Overcooked All You Can Eat will not support either of them. Poker Club, out November 19th, will support smart delivery. I did forget to mention Overcooked will not be out in retail until later in 2020. Rogue Company, free to play, doesn't matter. Sea of Thieves, yes for both. Tetris Effect Connected, yes for both, as will the Tourist. Undead Horde will support smart delivery. Warhammer Chaos Bane Slayer Edition, retail out December 8th, will not support smart delivery or Game Pass. War Thunder will support smart delivery, and Yes, Your Grace will support smart delivery. So most games will support smart delivery, and if they don't, it's either not on Xbox One or it is it's a special case. Typically.
Like it's like Call of Duty with its $10 upgrade.
Yeah, which again, Activision, hopefully they don't do it again, because that would be the stupidest thing they could
They
possibly
will.
think of.
Yeah. It's the
They'll
same
try.
case on PS4 to PS5 as well.
Yeah. Um,
Any way
But-
for Activision to get money, they will take.
that's
Well,
that's
At
not
least
unfair.
At least it's not that the Xbox One version is $70 and then you have to pay a $10 premium on top of that. It's the $60
That's true. That's
Xbox
true.
One game and then the $10 premium to make it the Series X game.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I mean, like
That's
I mean, I don't like it either way, but at least it's not them. It's going to be 70 across the board no matter what version you buy.
Right. It's
Yeah.
not a terrible thing,
Yeah.
but also my opinions of Activision lately has not been
No.
optimistic. Let's just say that.
Mine either,
Nobody-
but then this game also looks great. So it's that's the problem.
Yeah, so okay, so we've talked about the games. And then you probably noticed a distinct lack of first party titles that were coming to Series X and Series S.
What? No.
And that is for good reason, maybe. But so we're gonna talk about a few titles. These are not going to necessarily be exclusive, but I will mention them when they are. These are just gonna be stuff to look out for. And there are, I think, two big ones is kind of uh, the thing with Xbox right now is there are two like, ooh, we're really excited for these ones, and then the rest is kind of an unknown quantity. So the first one, Cyberpunk 2077. Hopefully it's coming out. It'd be a real shame if it didn't.
To clarify on Cyberpunk, though, it's the Xbox One version that'll be coming
Yeah.
out on December 10th. The optimized for Series X version is not slated for release until at least sometime next year.
Yeah. So, but it'll probably run significantly better than the.
And it is going to have smart delivery, so when that
Yeah.
next gen version comes out, you'll get it as soon as it's available.
The next one to look out for is Halo Infinite coming out sometime in 2021. Who knows? Hopefully that game is not is not too troubled. Hopefully it comes out and it's a hit. The Medium, don't know much about it, but it's a game. Outriders, it's that weird Square Enix game that they won't shut up about, even though I keep asking them to. A lot of people are excited for Psychonauts 2. Bright Memory Infinite, like we were talking about, that's definitely one to look out for the Xbox.
Don't forget Hellblade 2.
Yeah, Hellblade was the other one that I was saying to look out for, because that game is gonna that game Xbox is definitely pushing. Hogwarts Legacy, definitely one to look out for. Far Cry 6, Resident Evil Village. Is there any other ones that we like know about?
State of Decay 3.
State of Decay 3. That's right. Yeah. And then
And I would assume it hasn't been announced yet, but I would assume a new Gears game as well.
yeah, New Gears probably at some point. Hitman 3, Balan Wonderworld, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I keep forgetting that game is happening. And then that Batman game, I don't remember what it's called, but
Gotham
Gotham
Knights.
Knights. Yeah. So yeah, look forward to those games. And yeah, I guess I want to ask. I think that's. Oh, we want to talk about a couple other things. So every game that was on the Xbox One will be playable on your Xbox Series X. So that is something to just. It is basically significantly beefier Xbox One.
That
Yeah, and
Uh,
all of the games that had 1X enhancements will also carry over, so you'll get
yes.
those same enhancements on the Series X with the
You'll,
improved hardware.
see
yeah,
that.
you'll get. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, all of this, and we'll get to this tangent more. Well, actually, I think I'll save it for when we talk about PlayStation, because this is more
Okay.
criticism on PlayStation.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing to mention is that every backwards compatible game from Xbox 360 and Xbox and original Xbox, uh, that was like made compatible for uh, the one will also be playable on the Series X. So you have all of those games. Your entire Xbox library effectively will be playable on the Series X. I
And I
actually
wouldn't be
kind
surprised. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm actually kind of sad because there's one game that like I would really want to see running on new hardware, and that's Sonic Unleashed, and it's not on PC, so I can't catch it on PC, and it's not backwards compatible on PS5 because it's a PS3 game. And so I'm and so I'm just like, oh man, I really wanted to see Sonic Unleashed running super well, but
Well,
that's a whole tangent.
I was just about to add on to that the I wouldn't be surprised from what I've heard that now that the new hardware is out that Microsoft picks up adding more games to backwards compatibility again.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I wouldn't be surprised that if they kept doing that as a project, and I wouldn't be surprised if they started doing more like backwards compatible. I'd be interested to see if we start seeing like versions of games that launched on PC just kind of end up making their way to Series X. So like really old like Dreamcast games hitting the Series X at some point, just for example, because they're on PC, so they're pretty easy to get there. Um, so we'll see though. What was the other thing? Oh, and then Game Pass. Pretty like I was saying, really great service. Probably the best idea Microsoft has had since the idea to push online for the 360. Um, and I'm not going to read all of the games because that is a lot of games. There are a lot of games uh, on Xbox Game Pass. What I will tell you is that every single first party title is going to launch on Game Pass, and I think you get it a little earlier too. Um,
And you get all the expansions as well, I believe.
you get all the expansions, and so not only that, but you also get any third party game that chooses to have itself added. EA Play is like has been folded into Game Pass, so you get that too. Um, and then you will also see a lot of indie titles make their way to Game Pass too.
Which I think is
So
awesome. Like,
yeah, no, I love it. You know, like there are a ton of indie games that I didn't want to spend the money on
mhm.
that I just like have on Game Pass now. And that's cool because
That's
I wouldn't
honestly
have played those
everything.
games.
Everything you could have hoped for an indie developer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like I worry a little just like a tiny bit about like indie devs becoming too reliant, like not being able to not be on Game Pass kind of thing. Like I still want that, like if they want to be on Steam and stuff, they don't have to be on Game Pass kind of thing to survive. But still, it's a really cool thing for them. Um, Game Pass Ultimate also comes with Xbox Live, so they've they're kind of shifting uh, their entire infrastructure to the Game Pass, 15 about $15 a month for Game Pass, Game Pass Ultimate, for some pretty insane value given what you get for it.
I have to say, like, I mean, I'm not a subscriber personally because, as you mentioned earlier, I tend to go with physical games, and as much as I like both, I tend to use my PS5, or I guess will use my PS5 as I use my PlayStation as the default system, and tend to use the Xbox more for the exclusives. And for better or for worse, there aren't as many of those currently on Xbox. So usually it was just like, okay, I have Gears, I have Halo, I have Quantum Break, and I have Sunset Overdrive. Why should I pay $15 a month for the next however many years when I'm going to be playing most of them on PlayStation anyway?
Yeah.
But it is a very good deal that gets you a heck of a lot. And if you're somebody who plays casually, or you just only had a couple of games you wanted to play and this was your only system, it's a really good deal for a lot of.
It is. And if you're like a Star Wars gamer, this is the kind of the console for you, because you get like Jedi Fallen Order is going to come to Game Pass soon. Like,
Yeah, with
there's
EA Play
there's
being
not much to
connected.
argue about. Yeah. So there's Game Pass. Yeah, I think we can move into some just opinions, I guess. Just anything you guys wanted to talk about beyond that, beyond what we've already gone over. It's
Okay.
a lot of information.
Well,
So I think I did manage to secure a pre-order for the Series X. I haven't had a chance to get my hands on it yet. Yeah, I had it for other reasons that I won't get into now. I won't be able to get in, like, actually truly get my hands on it until Thanksgiving. But I'm excited to give it a try. I've been watching a lot of shout out to Digital Foundry. Their coverage of the release of both the new consoles has been very insightful. My thoughts that I have for the system, I do wish there were more first-party games launching day and date with the system. Like, yes, we are getting the Gears 5 and Gears Tactics. I mean, Gears Tactics is coming out, but it's also already, like, it's not really a huge seller, and it was already out on PC. It has been since April. Gears 5 and the Master Chief Collection are getting upgrades, but those are also, like, pre-existing games. So, like, there is Series X versions of games that are being optimized, but there's not a big brand new title first party exclusive other than Gears Tactics, and that's not really a system seller. I mean, like, I'm gonna buy it and play it.
It's kind of like if Nintendo launched the Switch with Hyrule Warriors. What's it called?
I know what you mean.
The new one.
Like, the Hyrule Warriors Calamity or whatever.
Yeah, Age of Calamity. Yeah.
Yeah.
If like instead of launching with Breath of the Wild proper, they launched with Age of Calamity.
Yeah, like it's a good
probably
game.
a good game.
It's not going to sell a system.
Yeah, it's probably a good game, not going to sell the system, which is fine. But as you're going to see with PS5, there's a very good argument that PlayStation is making that like, where are your games? Where are your games? and that is a legitimate question.
And I think the Halo Infinite delay really, really hurt them.
That really hurt. I think that was like the one, right? Like, Xbox was going to launch with Halo, and it was going to be a really, really competitive launch. And it sounds like it's going to be a competitive launch anyways. But I think, Halo really hurts for Xbox fans.
That was going to be like my day one game, and I don't even know when it's coming out now, other than just vaguely 2021.
Yeah. If it comes out 2021.
Yeah, that's right.
Because if you listen to our last week's
Or I guess technically for
Yeah,
those listening, it'll be the one that went up yesterday.
Yep. We go on a really long topic on how the Halo development
Yeah.
is in shambles right now. I think
Just
that's the right.
absolutely just an absolute nightmare. But yeah, you could go listen to that episode for that.
I don't want this episode to make it sound like we're hating on Xbox. Like I'm
Yeah.
excited to
Mhm.
try out the Series X. I'm critical of their decision. Like I think it's great how pro consumer they've been with like full backwards compatibility and smart delivery and all these Game
Yeah.
Pass. They are very pro consumer, and I applaud them for that. I think the one downside to the system, the way they're operating it, is it kind of being like a PC kind of system, is it doesn't feel big. Like this release, it feels like rather than the PS4 to PS5, which feels like a new generation, which even though the
Yeah.
hardware is comparable, it feels like we're making that leap. Whereas for Xbox, it kind of just feels like, yeah, you're just. It feels like Jake Baldino at Game Ranks mentioned this. It feels like switching over to a new smartphone. It's like
Yeah.
all your stuff carries over. You're just on a slightly more powerful hardware, and but everything else will still operate the same aside from some specific older software. That's really the thing, and it's pro consumer, and it's a very easy switch, and I do applaud Microsoft for making it accessible to consumers, and also not making it this thing of, well, if you didn't upgrade to Xbox Series X in the first year, then you're just behind. They made it very much like, hey, we get it. It's a pandemic. It's been a tough year. Upgrade when you can, but if you don't upgrade in 2020 or in 2021, you've still got these games playable on the Xbox One.
Mhm.
Which I applaud them for that, but the one downside to that is, and I mentioned this in episodes we did over the summer after they did the big like first party studios reveal, is there isn't a huge incentive to buy the system right now, especially with Halo being delayed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it sound like, oh, Xbox has no games. Like they don't have a ton. That is true, but the games that are there that are exclusive are really good most of the time.
Mhm.
Like Halo's been great, Gears is great, underrated, but Quantum Break, once they got the bugs ironed out, I really enjoyed. Sunset Overdrive is highly underrated. There's a lot of great games that are exclusive to Xbox that you can play. Problem is, when you look at the slate they have and you compare it to Sony knocking it out of the park almost every single time they release an exclusive, it hurts them. And I hope. I mean, we did see recently, especially with the Bethesda purchase and those like 14 studios that Microsoft bought in 2019, they're making a big push to build out Xbox Game Studios, and I'm hoping that it turns out well for them. The one downside is they just bought them in 2019, a majority of these, and then some in 2020. These big exclusive games aren't going to be coming out for a little while because the games are still in development. You've got Halo Infinite and Psychonauts 2 and Hellblade 2, but your next Elder Scrolls, your Doom, whatever number of Doom it is on now, like these kind of games, while they're going to sell and presumably be exclusives, they're going to need some more time in the oven, and that is going to, while it hurts the Series X's launch, I'm very much presuming that while it's going to be a good launch for them, obviously we haven't seen the numbers. It's only 2 days in.
Yeah.
And
they probably won't release the numbers either.
No. I think I'm expecting a very similar launch for the Xbox to the way the PS3 launched, where it did all right for the first couple of, like, first year or two and had a couple good exclusives here and there. But once they, at least in PS3's case, once they cut the price and released a bunch more exclusives like Uncharted 2 and Infamous and all these other games, it became a really well-marketed system that finally had what it needed. And I'm not saying the Series X necessarily needs a price cut, but what I mean is that it might take until 2022 for the Series X to fully hit its stride with exclusives and potentially a price cut and whatever else they have.
No,
Definitely.
here's the
agree
thing.
with that.
Everything that the Series X has is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
But if you can't play anything, then what's the point of having it
Yeah.
in 2020 or 2021?
If basically every game you're going to play is a game you've already played, that's not a very good argument for buying one.
Mhm.
Not
Like,
out the
it's
gate.
got some good third-party games on it, but if those same third-party games are going to play relatively the same on PS5, and your exclusives aren't coming out until probably, at least in the case of Halo, sometime next year, and in the case of Fable and presumably a new Gears 2022, what incentive is there at this point to buy the Series X?
Yeah, and that's a legitimate question that if you're going to buy a Series X, that's something you're going to have to ask yourself.
And for me, the reason why I went with it is I wanted to get the next gen experience for the games that I hadn't played yet, because I didn't upgrade to the One X. So I wanted to see the full 4K HDR support in Gears 5, the Master Chief Collection. I hadn't played Gears 5 yet, so I figured I'd hold off and play it on the next gen hardware. I haven't played the new upgraded version of Reach yet. So, like, for me, that was the reason why I upgraded. And I really think the way that the backwards compatibility works on Series X is going to truly transform the way a lot of these old games are played, whether or not they receive an upgrade or not. You look at Digital Foundry's videos they did, for example, on backwards compatibility for Final Fantasy 15. That game looks and runs incredibly well on backwards compatibility, and load times, for example, are virtually non-existent. And you compare it to its Xbox One version, which takes like 2 minutes to load in the base area.
Oh yeah, it's a whole other game.
So that was my main excitement for the Series X, was backwards compatibility, making old games look good, and getting 4K 60 FPS, and in some cases 120 FPS upgrades for the pre-existing exclusives. That being said, for somebody who maybe doesn't have a good TV and isn't interested in playing, like the words 4K Halo does, like if you don't have a 4K TV and you're not an FPS junkie, if you're just going in simply for the games, there isn't a whole lot new here that isn't a visual upgrade to get you excited about.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a good system, but it's not going to really give you a reason for the casual consumer to go out and buy it.
Yeah, it is not being used yet.
No,
is the problem. That is the one problem, is that it is, unlike PS5, the games that it has are not using it yet. And if it is, then it's also on something else.
We've got to wait for the chief to come in here and finish the fight.
Definitely finish the fight. I'll talk about Devil May Cry after we talk about PlayStation.
I was gonna say we got to talk about that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about PlayStation. Let me pull up the specs are courtesy of Den of Geek. So go give them some love from us.
And I put the PS4 to PS5 free upgrades list in the chat.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, that matters. It's different from the Series X. So, all right. So these are going to be the PlayStation 5 specs. Just up front, so there is the disc version and the digital edition. As you can probably tell, the disc version will have, or the standard PlayStation 5 will have a 4K UHD Blu-ray drive, and the digital edition will not. Otherwise, they are the exact same console. So, so unlike the Series S, which is a significant downgrade and costing $200 less, PS5 just removes the disc drive and it drops it from $499 to $399. So make of that what you will. All right, let's get into the specs I cannot make sense of. So the PS5 is going to have, I believe, very close to the same CPU. So the CPU is going to be an 8X Zen 2 cores at 3.5 gigahertz. So like 0.3 less than fewer than the Series X. 10.28 teraflops with 36 CUs at 2.23 gigahertz. And it's worth mentioning that the CPU and the GPU also have variable frequency, whereas the Series X does not. I don't know what that means, but okay. And also the teraflops are down just by about 2 teraflops. So again, not that much, but could matter. The RAM is going to be 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's going to be 256-bit. And then the memory bandwidth is going to be 448 gigabytes per second. I don't know if that's entirely, I don't know what that means, but okay. And then same Blu-ray drive basically as the Series X. And then this is where the differences start to show a little bit, is that the internal storage is going to be a custom 825 gigabyte SSD. And then the expandable storage, there's going to be there are a couple of ways you can go about it. Either you can have like an extended or an external hard drive, or in the future, there will be an update for you to put in your own NVMe SSD slot from third parties. So,
yeah. Well, the external hard drive though will only play PS4 games. You cannot play PS5 games off.
That's also worth mentioning too. Yeah. So the external hard drive will only play, like you said, only play PS4 games, and they won't receive any upgrades that they would have gotten if they were on the internal SSD.
Except for potentially the PS4 Pro enhancements that they would have got on the PS4 Pro.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely clear on that either, I think. But,
same. I'm going to have to test that myself.
Yeah. So that's the PS5. Pretty similar to the Xbox Series X. Not too much different here.
Except for the storage, really.
Yeah, except for the storage. So the storage is definitely a big hit, right? So you're only and it's also worth mentioning. So it says 825 gigabyte SSD, but it's not false advertising. It just happens that the PS5 is using around 200 of those for the OS. So
I believe
really
you get 667.
Yeah. So you're really only getting 667 gigabytes to use on the internal SSD. So that definitely hurts, right? If you are getting every game and you want to play every game at launch, you can't do it. You're going to have to make some choices.
I mean, Call of Duty is going to take up about a third of that already.
Yeah.
Which is, again, just listen to like the past 2 episodes. I've been really annoyed about this.
Like that's something that's already got me. Is I decided to pre-order Black Ops on my PS5 instead of the Xbox because I was going to go ahead and download a bunch of the patched games on the Series X. And I did the math last night, and I'm pretty sure that if I did the math correctly, and there's a good chance I didn't, that the Black Ops like the day one, and this isn't even counting when they have assuming the first patch when they add in the Nuketown map and on I believe the 17th or maybe it's the 20th. I don't know. It's coming soon. That or maybe it's the 24th. I think it's the 24th. Regardless, that it's going to be about 180 gigs for the first day one.
Wait,
Which is a
hold
little
up.
under a third of the entire. I believe it's close to like a third of the system.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Activision never fails to just annoy the crap out of me.
I can't believe this. I didn't know about this. Oh my.
Yeah.
So it's 400 gigabytes at
gigs,
launch.
and this is not even counting like they released on Twitter when the season 1 battle pass is going to come out. They're adding in the Nuketown map on the 24th, and I believe sometime later on at the end of the month they're going to add in the battle pass for season 1, which means that 180 gigs is literally just going to be this Friday as of recording when the game comes out. That's not even counting the patch that's going to be out within the end of November that adds in the season 1 battle pass. So we're going to be close to 200 gigs already before the end of November.
My bad. I misunderstood you for a hot second, which got me upset. I thought you said that the patch would have 180 gigs and that it would combine up to 400, and I was about to be like, "Are you what?"
It's 180 gigs, I believe, day one. Not even counting the patch coming out by the end of the month.
Yeah. That's still ridiculous.
Yeah. It's still ridiculous. And a game is going to take up, most of your hard drive. Like, you get this, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man Remastered, and I guess, and then Demon's Souls on top of that. That's filled up your entire PS5, literally, and by the time the first month of your ownership of the PS5 is even up. It's ridiculous.
It is.
It is absolutely insane. But we've talked about this so much. Call of Duty needs to go figure out how to compress itself, and then hopefully it will get me to play it, but probably not. All right, so that is the console. What is different here is that Series X is using effectively the same controller as the One, which is fine. That's a pretty good model, actually. The PS5, however, is launching with an entirely new controller, the DualSense. So say goodbye to the DualShock 4. The DualSense is in town. And all reports are that it is an awesome controller. So the two main features of the DualSense are the adaptive triggers, which means that developers can sort of adjust the feedback that you get from the triggers. So you can like the example is like you can emulate the tension of a bowstring as you're drawing back a bow in like The Last of Us. I don't think it's used in The Last of Us. I could be wrong, but it's stuff like that with the adaptive triggers. And then the haptic feedback is basically Rumble, but if Rumble was invented in 2020, or if Rumble was invented in like 2200, like future Rumble. And none of us have had a chance to take a look at how any of that works, so there's nothing for us to say. Go look at literally every other YouTuber who has a PS5. If you want like an idea of how that feels, but it's really that's definitely going to be something that like people are going to have to get their hands on it first before they can sort of determine whether or not it's a cool feature. But yeah, what do you guys think of the DualSense? Are you excited for it, or are you
You know,
Man,
I'm
on
definitely
it.
looking forward to trying it.
Yeah.
From a lot of the reviews that I've been watching have said that it's partially the reason why the system feels next gen is because of this
Yeah.
controller.
Yeah, the dual sense is definitely like it's kind of like how the Joy-Cons kind of at the start of the Switch really sold the idea.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I've
but,
seen with like reviews online, like examples with about going back to Call of Duty, saying like a report that says every single gun in the game is going to have with the adaptive triggers is going to have specific resistance and feedback tailored to each gun, and that no single gun will feel exactly the same when you use it with the DualSense controller, which is incredible.
That
Right.
is that I hope whoever had to like program that got like paid.
Yeah. Like
That
I mean,
is a lot of work.
it's gonna be really interesting to try that out. The one concern I have with it is, and we've already seen this specifically in some reviews with the Astros, whatever the game Astros called, it's not Astros Playroom. I thought that was the PS4 thing. Is it? No, because maybe that's
Astros.
because there was Astros Rescue Mission, which was the VR.
Yeah,
thing.
it's Astro's Playroom.
Oh, okay.
It's a sequel to Astro Bot Rescue Mission.
Okay, that's why I was confused. Yeah. Okay.
Which
well, we've seen.
I wanna just mention real quick. I'm very glad that Astro was not just like forgotten by PlayStation.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like it's one of those things where it's like PlayStation hadn't landed on a mascot, and then they found Astro, and it seemed like Astro was sent out to die because he was a VR only guy. But then they made him the tech demo for PS5, and now he's basically the de facto mascot because Sackboy doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, they should just don't forget about him. Give him a full platformer. Make him a mascot platformer again. Bring those back.
I mean, all reviews say that what we have with Astro's Playroom now are actually pretty good. Which actually, it's worth mentioning because it's not going to be on our games list. Astro's Playroom, which like we were saying, is a 3D platformer starring your favorite PlayStation mascot Astro, is just coming installed onto your PS5, so you won't need to download it, anything like that. It's just it's free, and it just works as like a tech demo for the PS5. So.
And we should clarify: if you need to make more space for Call of Duty, I have seen you are able to delete it if you are trying to. I believe.
Okay. Well, that's
because
cool. I mean, if that's...
there was a Astro something or not. There was a version just called the Playroom, I think, on PS4, which is not deletable. And so I'm glad to see that. That as good as this game is, probably from what I've heard, if you need to delete it to make space for more games, I believe you finally can.
Which is good.
But like my concern that I had in talking about this is we had seen using that game, for example, Astro uses a lot of the gameplay to kind of demo the way the DualSense works.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned that about the battery life. So we've heard that it's going to be like standard like DualShock 4, where it's about like 10 hours. But I'm concerned that games that utilize more of the rumble and the haptics and stuff like that, that the battery life will take a hit. Because I've heard with like Astro, for example, that game significantly chewed up the battery more so than something like Miles Morales does.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see how that compares.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of a like the light bar on the DualShock, you can turn it off to save from battery if you want. And there's like, so you can like turn off the haptic feedback and stuff if you want to. It's just a matter of it's just kind of a matter of preference at that point. And a lot of people aren't going to be playing for like 5 hours at a time, so just make sure you charge your controller and you should be good in that sense. But let's move on to the games because we're kind of running out of time here. I'm going to mention all of the third parties just because it's worth mentioning. and where Xbox made a fancy phrase for their next gen upgrades with smart delivery, PlayStation opted to use the much more tried and true fashion of just calling it what it is, which is a free next gen upgrade. So, uh, so I'm just going to list those off if they apply, and if they don't, same as smart delivery. There's obviously a reason for that. So we're going to start with the retail games, and then there will be digital games and upgrade patches after that. So there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla will have a next gen upgrade. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War will not have a next gen upgrade. Demon's Souls not coming out on PS4, so it doesn't matter. Dirt 5 will have a next gen upgrade. Fortnite Last Laugh Bundle will have a next gen upgrade coming out on November 17th. Godfall, also PS5 exclusive, so it doesn't matter. Maneater will have a next gen upgrade. Spider-Man Miles Morales will have a next gen upgrade, but the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition that comes with Spider-Man Remastered will not have a free next gen upgrade. So, and I think that's just because like you have to buy the PS5 Deluxe Edition to get the Spider-Man Remastered, because Spider-Man Remastered is technically a PS5 exclusive.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense to me. I think what they should have done was just sell what I think they should have done was like for anybody who owns the original Spider-Man, for $20 you can get this super high
Mhm.
you can get this like super improved version. That's what they should have done.
Yeah.
Because like it breaks my brain whenever I think about the Spider-Man remastered thing.
How much is the Ultimate Edition? I'm just curious.
70.
70? Okay.
So like
So it's
how
normal
much
price.
as much as you're paying for like a full game.
Okay.
But the good thing is, though, is the Spider-Man Remastered, I believe, will include the City That Never Sleeps DLC.
Yeah.
So
you
yeah,
do
that
get
covers
some financial incentive there.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is good. But yeah, so that's just worth thinking about. But yeah, I mean, Spider-Man looks really good, so it doesn't matter. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate will have a next gen upgrade, free next gen upgrade, and will be out November 17th. As will Planet Coaster Console Edition and Sackboy Big Adventure. I hope Sackboy's good, by the way. Just gonna quick mention that. All right, let's see. So Astro's Play. So these are the digital only games plus upgrade patches. So Astro's Playroom pre-installed, like we talked about. Borderlands 3 will have a next gen upgrade. Bug Snacks is going to be free on PS Plus and retail out in Q1 of 2021, and will have a free next gen upgrade as well. It's worth mentioning that I believe the Bug Snacks is only going to be on PS Plus if you have a PS5. So I could be wrong about this, but it's only going to be like free on PS Plus for a month if you have it on PS5. So that,
Mhm.
or if you have a PS5. So that's just worth
I mean,
mentioning.
in fairness, the game doesn't look that good,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I mean, I hear that it's kind of fun, that it's kind of like a fun time, but I haven't seen any like proper reviews, so who knows. Dead by Daylight is going to have a free upgrade. DMC5 Special Edition, no free upgrade, and retail out on December 1st. Fortnite, free to play, doesn't matter. Gunya Fighter Jiggly Haptic Edition, I am not going to look that up. Will not have is also free to play, I guess. So I don't know. Or it's a PS5 exclusive. King Oddball will have a free next gen upgrade. No Man's Sky will have a free next gen upgrade. Observer System Redux won't have a next gen upgrade. Overcooked All You Can Eat, which will retail out at some point in 2020, will don't know. It might be a PS5 exclusive, so that's why. The Pathless will retail out on December 8th, and we'll have a next-gen upgrade. We'll talk about the PlayStation Plus collection later. The Poker Club out November 19th will have a next-gen upgrade, as will Undead Horde and War Thunder. And then Warhammer Chaos Bane Slayer Edition will not have a next-gen upgrade and will retail out in December 8th. And then Watch Dogs Legion will retail out on November 24th. We'll have a next-gen upgrade. And then WRC 9 FIA World Rally Championship retail out December 8th. We'll have a next-gen upgrade. So that is every PlayStation title that is launching. And then it is also worth pulling up the Plus collection, the PlayStation Plus collection. So if you own a PS5, and you have PlayStation Plus, which is basically Sony's version of Xbox Live, you will get access to the following games: Bloodborne, and these are all PS4 games: Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, God of War PS4, Infamous Second Son, Ratchet and Clank, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Until Dawn, and Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. And then, so those were the first-party games, and then there are some third-party games as well. So Batman Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies Chronicles Edition,
Ooh.
Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat X, Persona 5, not Persona 5 Royal, and Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
A lot of good games.
Oh, there's so many in there. I mean, I've played some of them, games. But even them, just hearing about it, it's just like, oh, I'm for sure playing that on the PS5 because I even want to see how it runs. Like,
I'll be interested to see if the DLC is included in some of those.
Oh well,
because like they specified the Zombie Chronicles edition of Black Ops 3, but there's also still a lot of DLC outside of that edition that's not included.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I would say probably not.
Like yeah, Mortal I mean, Kombat at least you get the Zombie Chronicles.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, but yeah.
Because that's the one thing that Game Pass has the edge up on is the DLCs included in Game Pass. So we'll see.
We'll see.
At least Caleb, there is the Zombie Chronicles missions in Black Ops 3 on there.
Yeah.
You at least get that.
Well, I know that like I'm going to be replaying Batman. Because I am interested to see how that game runs. Plus,
that is interesting.
And plus, I'm a big fan of Arkham Knight. Controversial opinion.
I liked it too. Yeah.
So, I mean, I shouldn't say it's really controversial opinion. Everybody just doesn't like the tank missions, which is fine. I get it. But you know, to see how that game runs and FF15, I think those are two games that are, mid-generation games that I would be very interested to see how they run on the PS5.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I'm playing anything, I'm interested in FF15 and I'm interested in Monster Hunter World because I wasn't able to I got Monster Hunter World like a while ago, but I wasn't wowed by it. But maybe with the performance enhancements, maybe. Yeah. I think that's basically it. So the PS Plus collection is definitely nowhere near the value of Game Pass, but what we might start to see is some more so you're already getting the 2 free games from PS Plus. So we might see more games added to the PlayStation Plus collection as well. So pretty good value, especially if you've had PlayStation Plus for a long
Mhm.
time. I mean, a lot of people are going to have a lot of duplicates in here because some of these games were free on PS Plus already, like
Right.
Last of Us Remastered and Uncharted 4, just to name a few.
But here's what I'll mention is that the one thing is, and I don't know if this will be like this on the PS5 because I haven't looked into it, but in order to be for most games to have online multiplayer, you have to have PlayStation Plus. So
Yeah.
anything that is, you're mainly buying PlayStation Plus as an online subscription.
Yep.
And anything else is really a perk. So, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And if you're getting a $60 game, like if there is multiple $60 games on there, value games, you get your money's way worth, I think,
Yeah.
for
I will
a full
say,
year.
I will say though, please play Persona 5 Royal. It's so much better. It's just significantly better game.
Mhm.
But that's a tangent. I think that basically wraps up. Oh, we wanted to briefly talk about just some mentions of every game that is confirmed to have a free upgrade um, to PS5, and a bunch of these are also going to apply to Series S and X. So just keep that in mind, and then we'll talk about future games in a little bit here. So uh, I'll just run through the ones that we already talked about. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Atelier Ryza 2, Borderlands 3, Bugsnax, Control, but only if you purchase the Ultimate Edition, Cyberpunk 2077, Dead by Daylight, Destiny 2, Dirt 5, Doom Eternal, Far Cry 6, FIFA 21, For Honor, Ghost Runner, Guilty Gear Strive, Hitman 3, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Little Nightmares 2, Madden NFL 21, Maneater, Marvel's Avengers, Marvel Spider-Man, Marvel Miles Morales, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, NBA 2K21, but only if you purchase the Mamba Forever Edition, No Man's Sky, Outriders, the Pathless, Planet Coaster Console Edition, Pray for the Gods, Riders Republic, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, The Elder Scrolls Online, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Watch Dogs Legion, WRC 9, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, but only if it's the digital edition, which is weird, but it's Yakuza. Yakuza's weird. So that's the games that will have free upgrades. And then just to briefly go over, so we already talked about a lot of these games on for the Xbox, but I think there were a few exclusives. I'm not getting a good list here. Well, the three, so for what was I going to say? Oh, so the three that I'm thinking of for PS5 in terms of exclusives are Kena Bridge of Spirits, Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok are like the three big ones.
What was that?
Is that what you're talking about?
Say
Or
what?
are you talking about all of ones that are exclusives accounting day one?
Oh, I was talking about well, I was just talking about the games that like the games to be excited for in the future.
Oh, okay, because I thought you said I think that's all of them. I was like, well, you're forgetting about Miles Morales, but I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's a day one, not a
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mentioned Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, and I keep forgetting the other one. Kena
Kena.
Bridge of Spirits. Yeah, those are the three big ones.
Yeah, I think you've covered most of the upcoming like big ones that have been announced at least.
Yeah, it's and a lot of the games that we mentioned for Xbox are going to be coming out on PS5 as well. So, yeah, I'm I'm definitely like Hogwarts is definitely like the sleeper one that I'm really excited for.
Oh, for sure.
Because that's like nobody's talking about it for obvious reasons, but like I'm excited for it because I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and hopefully it's good.
Hopefully. Here's hoping.
So I wanted to talk about one last thing, and it's Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, because it's one of those cases where I feel very conflicted. I'm going to buy just all cards on the table. I'm going to buy the game, but but it is an instance where like we've seen it a few times with like Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Remind DLC and it like so the Devil May Cry special editions are typically basically like final mix versions of the games. And they all add Virgil as a playable character. Which is really funny actually. 4 added 3 new playable characters, so it was kind of like it was more than just Virgil, but yeah, so 5 has a lot of new stuff. So it has like Virgil, like a lot of new graphics options, a new difficulty mode. I think characters are getting like new moves. I could be wrong about that, but I think they are. So like I don't think that it's not a worthy purchase, especially because it's only $40. But I do feel a little bit like this would be a perfect opportunity to sell me or to like upgrade me to the special edition for the price of the Virgil DLC on PS4, which is $5.
Yeah, I mean, I could. So is there a way? Because like Miles Morales, for example, if you buy the standard edition, when you put the game in, there'll be an option in the game menu to take you to the PlayStation Store to upgrade for like $20. Is there a way to like so you can't just put in the PS4 version and then pay an extra 40 and upgrade from that, or pay an extra 20 or whatever?
Not that I know of, at least.
Okay,
and I probably would have heard about it by now.
That's kind of dumb.
Yeah, I mean it's understandable because it's kind of like because they're also releasing Virgil as a playable character on PS4 and Xbox and stuff for $5. So it's kind of like it would get like super convoluted if you offered that, but then you offered like a $20 version for existing owners. Like that would kind of break my brain, kind of like Spider-Man did. So like I understand, and maybe like given the current infrastructure of the way that some of these games work, was kind of the only way to do it. But it does feel a little bit like I can't even transfer over my save data. Like there's a lot to be desired about it. But I say all of that. Virgil is the greatest rival in video game history, and his theme song in this game is probably one of the best video game songs I've heard in a very long time. So like
spoilers, but yeah, I agree.
so like on some level, I don't really care. I guess is my feelings. Like it doesn't feel again. If they were selling it to me at $70, I would be like, oh, man, couldn't I just like pay $10 to get the special edition? On my like I already own 5. Like, do I need? I already own 5 twice. So like, do I need to? But it's only $40, so it's not like I'm being sold uh, for $70 what uh, I am only really getting like I don't know. I don't know how much it's worth. I don't know how you
Yeah.
value that kind of thing. But like,
So like, go ahead. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say it's like it's unfortunate because it's not like it's very suboptimal. I guess is what I would say.
So other than Virgil and some visual upgrades, is there anything else that's added to it?
Yeah, so there's the legendary Dark Knight mode. Uh, is like you take the base game and then you add a billion enemies.
Interesting.
Um, it's kind of like that in the 4 special edition had that, so you can like see what it was like in 4 if you wanted to. Um, it looks pretty cool. I've seen some footage and it's pretty cool. Um, and then it does take advantage of the PS5's 3D audio, and it also takes advantage of the DualSense's adaptive triggers.
That's gonna be
So
really cool for playing as Nero.
yeah, Nero is the cool because he has a sword that revs up like a motorcycle. So
Yeah, it'd be
so
cool to play
it's
as him.
yeah, that's a cool thing. Um, so yeah, it's
Is
like
is the
oh, go ahead.
Virgil stuff gonna be its own like story campaign, or is it just
Yeah,
you can play as Virgil?
it's it's like it was for I don't know. I didn't finish for the 4 Virgil campaign, but
I didn't realize there was a 4 Virgil campaign.
yeah, no. So the playable Virgil in 4 had uh played all of the missions and uh and had 2 cutscenes, one at the beginning and one at the end. And they were like very irrelevant cutscenes. Like they didn't add very much. The
Okay.
most the most you could say is that it teases a spoiler for 5.
Okay.
Is like the most you could say.
Because I was thinking like I was hoping it's not like, oh, you can just play through Dante's campaign but as Virgil. So like it's not really quite like a story DLC, but it's more of just like, hey, play the campaign with maybe like 2 cutscenes to bookend it kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's like based on my understanding, Virgil is going to be I don't know if he's going to be in all of the missions, but I know he's going to be it's like a mix of like Nero, V, and Dante rather than just like only Dante's missions or only Nero's missions.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
without spoilers, I do think it'd be a interesting. I mean, I didn't really expect Capcom to do this because they don't really do story DLC.
no.
But like, I think it would have been interesting if they gave us like a full-on DLC campaign, similar to like the campaigns we had for each Dante, Nero, and V for Virgil. Because the way that story goes, a Virgil campaign, like single story campaign, would be really neat.
Yeah, it would. I'd be interested, but it's probably not going to happen.
No, I
All
mean, I
things
think the
considered.
only DLC for any of the Devil May Cry games that we got was they had a Virgil. There was a Virgil DLC for
Oh, for
the
the reboot,
DMC
that's right.
remake, yeah,
Yeah.
which is the
Yeah.
only DMC game I have yet to actually play, even though I own it on PS4.
I don't want to play
I don't really
it.
want to either, but I might do it just
Yeah,
because I want a DMC fix, and I'll probably wait until the
sure.
special edition of 5 is on sale.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I'm just gonna get 5 because it looks like or the special edition looks like it's just gonna have like enough improvements for me to be worth it. Like,
Yeah.
Virgil is cool. There's not much else to say about it. Yeah, so really briefly, I know Caleb, you got to go soon. So, you know, opinions on the PS5, and then just some last thoughts on both consoles before we exit.
Caleb, you want to go first, or do you want me to go ahead?
Well, you know, I think I've always been PlayStation.
Yeah,
I've always gotten PlayStation, and I've always thought that PlayStation has always had the better console. Looking at this next gen specs and everything, I do believe Xbox has the better console. I mean, there's nothing to argue with that in terms of specs.
yeah.
But
It might not be a very significant difference, but it
right,
is a difference.
it's still better in some way. And
Yeah,
but the thing is, and we keep coming back to this, and this really is the primary point. Xbox just doesn't have the games
right now,
right now, and
right now, and that matters.
and I've always been committed to all of the PlayStation first party franchises, um, to where I don't see myself even coming to a conclusion that, maybe I'll think of Xbox. But if this were in a different scenario and the specs were the same as they are now, and Xbox said, let's say Xbox had their Bethesda purchase 3 years ago, and some other launch company that they acquired or something. And then they had Halo, and then their exclusives that are usual. And they were all coming out within a year from each other. I might have been like, you know what? Maybe I'll switch. But
Yeah,
I think to myself, I think I got to go with PlayStation for at least the first 4 years of this generation, because I don't see myself getting anything else other than that for the first 4 years. And then once we get to the eventual pro editions of things, whatever Xbox wants to call it, um, you know, maybe we have a
yeah,
maybe we have a little bit more of a debate from me. Meaning, like, I think, say, 4 years from now, Xbox is coming out with their stuff, then it would probably, because I would already have the PS5 at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say by that point, they just used Game Pass streaming.
Right. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Because if you've already got a PS5 and you really just want to play the exclusives, and if assuming that Microsoft can figure out whatever deal they got to do with Apple to let the stuff on iOS, you could very well just end up being like, well, I'm a PlayStation gamer, but I want to play the Master Chief Collection, so I'll pay for Game Pass for 2 months, bust out the Master Chief Collection, and then unsubscribe
Mm-hmm.
or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables, and this is the other thing. And, you know, you all might laugh at this, but it really also boils down to controller.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
I have been like I said, I've had PlayStation all of my life, so I am so used to those controls and how they work. Even if they add, like, say, adaptive triggers to it, that's not going to be much of a change for me. Whereas with Xbox, every time when I pick up an Xbox controller, I am thrown for a loop. No matter how many times you explain it to me, no matter how many times I
yeah,
play Xbox, I will always be off because I am so used to a PlayStation controller.
which is perfectly understandable.
No.
I'm
Yeah.
maybe a little less perceptible to that, I think, just because I've played on a ton of Nintendo controllers, which have like the same basic layout. Um, so it's not like uh, so I'm like a little less perceptible to that. But I think like for me, it really comes down to like I play a lot of JRPGs. Like I play uh like most of my playtime is dedicated to something with a J in front of it, whether it be an action game or an RPG
Hmm.
or something else, right? Just like it's a Bandai Namco game, I'm playing it. And in some instances, like Bandai Namco actually, sometimes they tend to favor Xbox. But most of the like niche JRPG devs are going to PlayStation. And that's just kind of always going to be the case until Microsoft takes over the world or something like that. So for me, it's definitely like you said about the games, but more for me, it's like I don't foresee a future in which the games that like I'm super interested in are going to come to Xbox anyways. Plus, I have like this whole digital library of PS4 games, and I don't really want to like not use those in the
Yeah.
future. And that's like um and that's going to be different for a lot of people. It's definitely like I think that the mistake that a lot of like the console fanboys tend to make is that everything is relative to each individual person's needs.
Hmm.
And uh the fact is that neither of these consoles meets everything that like I want out of a console. Like honest to goodness, the quick resume feature on the Series X looks like the coolest thing I have ever seen a console do ever. And I'm gonna be sad to not have that. And that's just like it's a consequence of the fact that the PlayStation is going to be my main console. And maybe that comes down the line, but we don't know. Um, but like for somebody else, maybe quick resume doesn't matter, and what they really want is a um, maybe quick resume doesn't matter, and they would prefer something like the PS5's UI with like the cards and stuff, but they want to play Halo. Where are you gonna play Halo on Xbox? So it's like it's a consequence for sure, but I think a lot of the fanboys don't quite understand that dichotomy,
Hmm.
right? That it's
Yeah.
definitely it is down to the games, and it's down to the needs of the individual consumer.
Hmm.
And I don't fault you for wanting to get a Series X if you want to get a Series X. I think that is I think that when I tend to like rag on Microsoft, it tends to be towards Microsoft and not towards the people who want to get an Xbox, because I think that's silly. Um, but I think kind of like a final prediction, if I were to do my like election night, like this is what's going to happen. I think
You got your touchscreen board and everything.
yeah, I have a touch screen in the background with the map of the United States. I think California is gonna go green, and Tokyo is gonna go blue. I think I do think that ultimately both consoles are going to be pretty successful. Like both consoles are going to launch pretty well, but I think PS5 is definitely going to see like Wii levels of of like sadness throughout the year where you just can't find one.
Well, if we're going based off the election analogy, we'll still be trying to figure out what wins in Nevada for a couple of years.
It's true. It's true. It'll just be a total toss up. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah.
Sawyer,
And
did you have?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. Like for me personally, I'm actually kind of flipped from you, Ezra. Is like I know the PlayStation and Xbox controllers well, but like for example, a couple of days ago, I was playing Mario 3D All Stars on the Switch, and even though I've had that console for a while, sometimes I'd be looking at the buttons. I'm like, wait a minute, X is here, and like,
Right. Yeah.
I still have to get used to the Switch controller sometimes, but I can pick up any PlayStation controller, play pretty much any game, and I'll immediately know how to do it. And I think, like going down to the needs of a lot of things, I like the Nintendo Switch. I think Nintendo is a great company that, while maybe making some strange decisions a lot of the time,
Yeah.
tends to be very committed to putting out a quality, consumer-friendly product. But in my case, outside of Zelda, Metroid, and No More Heroes, most of the exclusives on Switch just don't interest me as much. Like, I mean, really, the only reason I got Mario All Stars was because I was nostalgic for Mario Galaxy because I played that as a kid. Like, but meanwhile, on PlayStation, they've got Spider-Man, Uncharted, Infamous, all these other games. I don't necessarily mean PS5. I mean like previous PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of games that I am a very big fan of. So I see what you mean there. As a console collector, I'm not really particular to any one specific system.
You're
I'm
not
going to be interested.
necessarily torn.
No, like I tend to lean towards PlayStation a bit just because they're the one that I've had the longest. Like the PS3 was my second ever video game system, so I'm somewhat partial to PlayStation, but I'm not like a fanboy who completely adheres specifically to it.
Mhm.
Like this generation, if I end up having a better experience with Series X, then I'll probably end up buying more of my third party games on there and then just getting exclusives on PlayStation. It can go either way. This past generation, it was the Xbox One for just exclusives and then the PS4 for all third parties. I don't know what it's going to be for this generation, and we'll see. But for the types of games that I'm going to play, I already know right now that Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon, like that's what gets me excited on PlayStation. And while I'm pumped about Halo, Xbox right now doesn't have a whole lot that's really got me hyped. But I've got several third-party games that I'm going to be trying out on backwards compatibility on Series X that maybe I enjoy that a lot. I think it's the real test here is while the hardware is similar, and as we've seen in the past, like this generation, even if the hardware might be more powerful on one than another, you're really only going to see that difference in exclusives because most third-party games are going to be made to work on both. So it'll be a very subtle difference, if any, between the two on third-party games. But I think the true difference this generation is going to be in philosophy for the two companies. Sony is way more considered like partial to the generation model, which is I'm also partial to as well. But Xbox wants to go with more of that PC kind of style, and it's going to be interesting to see which one wins out. I think PS5 is going to be a well. I think Xbox wins out in terms of the ecosystem because now with Game Pass and the fact that Game Pass is now going to be, there was an article I read earlier that Microsoft is trying to find a way to circumvent Apple's whole no game streaming on iOS thing. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting generation. I'm excited to get to break and start testing out both of these systems. I like the one benefit that I will give Xbox is they're making the transition really simple. And they're very pro consumer. PlayStation, as much as I'm excited for it, and I've been saying this since up before the we were talking about when's it going to be announced. I'm not a fan of how silent they've pretty much been for a lot of the lead up to this. Like, I mean, there was the announcements, but I mean, examples of this pre-orders, we didn't, even though they said, "Oh, you're going to know," we didn't know up until right before. To the point that you got our reactions live on the show as we found out about when they went live.
In fairness to Sony,
yeah,
that was like the retailers kind of jumped the gun on that. So it's like, it's not entirely Sony's fault.
But it adds on to a pattern of, like, for example, them saying, "Oh, with the Spider-Man thing, that your saves are not going to carry over," and then a couple days ago, Insomniac backpedaled on that and is now going to let you carry over your saves on the Spider-Man remastered.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of this, like, wishy-washy kind of, like, communication that doesn't always seem very clear, and then there's the confusion on the VR support, and only just now saying, "Hey, you're going to need an adapter for the camera," which I put in my request on Sony's website for that, and I've heard nothing on when those are going to ship. So I don't even know if I'm going to even able to try the VR backwards compatibility for weeks potentially, because I don't know when that's going to come in. So, that's one of the few things that I've really been kind of not loving about the launch of this system is how, and this has happened historically before with the PS3, is Sony gets cocky when they get successful. Is coming off the PS2, Sony was like, "Oh, we had the best console. Everybody loved the PS2. They're just going to buy the PS3 because we're PlayStation." And they put out a $600 console right as the Great Recession was starting, and it was everybody was like, "No thanks, I'll go to the 360," and that made the Xbox as successful as it was. I hope PlayStation has learned their lesson and don't get cocky with the PS5. So far, I don't think they have, but the lack of communication does make me nervous. But I think also part of that could just be pandemic related. I hope. I could be wrong, and maybe I'm just wishful thinking on that, but I don't know. Some of this stuff is, and I think backwards compatibility is the other thing, that if Sony could figure out how to make backwards compatibility work, like how Xbox has it, like, imagine this. When they announced PS5, if they said PS1, 2, 3, and 4 games all backwards compatible day one, people would lose their minds.
Oh yeah,
that would be incredible.
That would be incredible.
Because PlayStation has this. I mean, there's money, one, and the PS3 is another roadblock.
Yeah.
But and I know for a lot of people, backwards compatibility is that one thing where everybody complains when it's not there, but when it actually is there, most people don't end up using it. I think that's different this generation, just because it's, especially for Xbox, it's more of like a half-step kind of thing. Not necessarily a half-step, but it's more of a smooth transition, like a smartphone, rather than we're going PS3 to PS4, no more of the old stuff.
I mean, it is consoles adapting a sort of PC-like mentality. Yeah. But
Sony's been resistant to that, whereas Microsoft, go figure, has been quick to embrace it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I don't want anybody to see like, "Oh, they're just fanboys. They're on PlayStation side." I want both to succeed. I bought both. I'm ready to try out both. I want to see how they both perform. I'm looking forward to it. I just think that there's some pros and cons to both, that if Sony can just be more transparent and get this backwards compatibility stuff working better than it is from the reports that I've seen, and if Microsoft can get some games out to make buying the system worthwhile to a majority of consumers, then I think they've both got really successful machines that I'm looking forward to seeing how the 9th generation performs.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh man, it's the 9th generation, man.
technically the Nintendo Switch is the start of the 9th generation,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna say that these are.
Yeah, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the? Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I think eighth generation was really good. We got
Yeah.
a lot of great stuff, and hopefully Avengers marks the death of the stuff that we didn't like. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this next generation takes us for everybody,
Yeah.
regardless of what games you like, because I
My
think
my
that's
hopes. Yeah, I agree with you, Ezra, on that.
yeah, yeah.
My hopes and worries for this generation. I want to see if you guys have any. You can shout them out here too.
That's a
But
good idea. Yeah.
my hopes for this generation going into it, I hope we get a lot more pro consumer accessibility. Microsoft, as we've already seen, is really good on this with the adaptive controller, and you can play this on the Xbox One S, you can play this on the X, you can play this on the Series X, the Series S,
Yeah.
Game Pass, PC. I hope we get a lot more of that. Play the way you want, rather than you've got to have this system, this game, and then buy all the DLC. Like,
Yeah.
I like that accessibility. While it may not always be the most of much of a leap as we think it's going to be compared to previous generations, it's good on consumers. I hope we get a lot more single player games that we were starting to see towards the end of this generation. No more of that game like focus on strictly games as a service.
Mhm.
And my worries, I worry that we're going to be completely overtaken by the Battle Pass system.
Mhm.
And I worry about storage a great deal. I think that's going to be something that, well, as great as the SSDs in these systems are, as we've seen, like we've talked about extensively with Call of Duty and with other games, they need, if Sony releases these like expandable NVMe SSD like slots that you can put into the system, if those are priced accordingly, I think that it could help. But I think that's a concern. Um, and really, I want the games to be good. I don't want any more of that rushed out day one patch nonsense. Give us some good games and just knock this generation out of the park.
More Spider-Man.
More Spider-Man, and
Do what
also
Spider-Man did.
I'm just gonna say this. We talked about this before we started rolling. Give us another Metal Gear. It's been like it's been since 2015. It's been 5 years. Come on,
Hey! Put some respect on Metal Gear Survive's name.
absolutely not. I refuse. I refuse. I own that game and have yet to even like start it up.
Wow.
Like I have not. I've downloaded it, but have not even booted it up once. I refuse. Yeah. Come on, give us some more of these legacy franchises we haven't seen in a while. Like bring back Killzone, bring back Infamous,
Yeah.
bring back
Where's Killzone?
yeah, like come on, bring back some of these legacy franchises we haven't seen in a while.
Mhm.
And I think backwards compatibility gives them even more of an incentive to. Just like we've seen now with a lot of things on Netflix, you'll have like a movie that maybe didn't do well in theaters comes to Netflix and everybody goes, "Wow, this movie was really good. I've never heard of it."
Yeah.
Same thing can happen with backwards compatibility now. Somebody could say, "Oh, we've seen it happen with." I think it has an even better chance to happen now with Game Pass and the PS Plus collection. People download Infamous Second Son off of the PlayStation Plus collection. Go, "Wow, this game is really good." Maybe it gives an incentive for Sucker Punch to give us another Infamous.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. No, I'm definitely with you on that. I don't know if I have any like separate worries and hopes. I guess my big one is just like I hope, I mean, you want like a super out of this world hope. I
Sure.
hope Nintendo goes third party.
Not gonna happen, but I think it'd be dope.
I want it so bad. Like the Switch proves that it's kind of just time. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why they can't just make a huge leap to compete, but they're selling the Switch at the same price as the Series S.
Going off of that, I think if we're talking anything going third party, I think there's a possibility that Microsoft does.
Yeah.
Ooh, man. That's
I
gonna
think-
if that happens, bro.
Like, I think Microsoft will continue to manufacture hardware, but if they're going with this PC route, where it's like, for example, you don't necessarily have to buy as long as you're running Windows, you don't have to buy
Yeah.
like a Microsoft Surface whatever to play a game on it. You can just buy an Android tablet and it'll run the Game Pass streaming service. What's the
Yeah.
likelihood of Microsoft saying, you know what, we want all players to play it? Why not put? And there's been rumors of this. Putting a Game Pass app on the Switch. If they've got cloud gaming on the Switch now, Game Pass on there, or put Halo Master Chief Collection on the PlayStation. Just can you imagine? It would be.
This conversation reminds me a lot about last generation, and the talk on the idea of crossplay.
Yeah.
And now we got that. So it's interesting that like you both bring up this point of like I've never really thought of it them doing that before. And do I see it happening this generation? I don't think specifically, but I do think it is more of a possibility on the next.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
The only one I see doing that, Nintendo is just too stubborn.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing it. But I do see, and Sony as well, I don't see Sony doing it. But knowing Microsoft and them trying to really pivot to Xbox being more of a brand and a platform rather than a specific system. Or I guess, trying to pivot Xbox to more of an ecosystem than rather than just one specific platform. I wouldn't be surprised to see them strike a deal and put a Game Pass app on the Switch, and maybe Nintendo just take some royalties for purchases made through the system or something like that.
Which would be wild.
Yeah, I think it won't be. It's not going to happen anytime soon. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Microsoft just branch out and put Xbox Game Studios games on other platforms. We've seen it happen with Cuphead. We've seen it happen with Minecraft. And I believe Ori and one of the Ori games also came out on Switch. I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I also just want to mention that Sony first parties are gonna pop off.
Oh yeah.
They are just going to, like, we thought PS4 was kind of bonkers for exclusives. Just give it like 3 years. Like, it's gonna be insane.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Let's wrap it up.
I know you've probably got to be somewhere by now. So let's. Thank you so much for watching.
Mm-hmm.
This was our next gen special. Hopefully, we will have a mod on soon, so we can talk about movies again. We'll probably. By the time we have a mod on, we'll probably still be talking about video games because it'll be post-launch.
Mm-hmm.
But
we'll see.
but still, hopefully we'll have a mod on soon. Caleb, would you rattle off the social medias?
Do you want me to do that, or do you want Caleb to do it?
Ooh, who's? Wait, did we shift the jobs?
Wait, what?
Oh, Caleb still does the social media. I just usually rattle it off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's whoever wants to do it can do it. I'm not partial.
You got this, Sawyer.
Caleb is muted.
Oh, am I muted?
Caleb, I don't know if you know you're muted, but you're muted.
Oh, you pressed M. That's what happened. He pressed F.
Oh yes,
Oh.
yes.
Uh,
That's exactly what happened. I mean, I wasn't muted on OBS, but
Oh, okay.
so we're fine in the recording. But
You're going hello.
yes.
yeah, Sawyer, if you want to rattle that off, that would be great.
Sure. So you can find us on Twitter at CastCate at CASTCATE on Twitter. It's the first time I've ever actually messed that up because of our old handle. But you can find us just by searching for the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. And you can find us on Instagram just by searching for at the Lab Rats Podcast. We don't usually post on Instagram, but on Twitter you will get a notification every time a new episode goes live on Podbean. And you can find us wherever you're listening now, and as well as on Podbean, in addition to Stitcher, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Twitch, and I think that's everything. And Spotify, but I didn't mention Spotify already.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'll leave you off with one last note. Caleb,
Yes.
guess what?
What?
Kingdom Hearts 2.8 runs at 60 FPS on PS5.
Oh, you love to hear that. You love to hear that. Is that including Dream
Thanks so much
Drop?
for listening, everybody.
Is that including Dream Drop?
I mean, Dream Drop already ran at 60.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
All
Well,
right, thanks
I
so much
will-
for listening, everybody.
Yep.
Have a wonderful weekend and play some next gen games.
Yep.
If you get your hands on a pre-order, that is.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.